Kristen with Collision Hub, and it is NACE 2015 in Detroit. Now, we always talk about how knowledge is power in the industry, and the more you know, well, the better your business is going to get. And recently a survey came out that was done by collisionadvice.com and the Crash Network that had some surprising results. And I kind of wanted to discuss that a little bit more with you guys and have you kind of tell me a little bit about how that survey gets started, Mike.
I used to always participate in Charlie Baker, Collision Insight at that time. He had a Who Pays For What survey. And I used to always love getting that because when I got it, it would always show me these things that how am I ranking getting paid for things compared to other people. So, I always had this passion that, I want to do my own survey, I want to do my own survey. Kind of really never had the time or the knowledge to know how to put a survey together. So I reached out to John, said, hey John, would you like to partner up with this? And I took and compiled all the questions and sought input from different industry members like Larry Montanez and other people on, some not included operations and then got with John and we decided to kick this thing off. So we do one survey every quarter. The first quarter survey was on refinished not included operations. The second survey was on aluminum and structural repair. The third survey will be body not included operations. And then the fourth survey will be miscellaneous operations like jig rental, markup on sublet, administrative fees, solid waste disposal, things of that nature. So a different survey every quarter, and then they can use this to, number one, prove that they're not the only one. Number two is it might create awareness. John can share some stories with you that some shops have shared with us and said, you know what, Mike, we'd really like to take, and every morning we have our release meeting, we actually share some of the results of this survey. So it boiled down to me being a shop owner, Charlie Baker, Collision Insight, had a survey, always loved it, his kind of disappeared, and I thought, how can we take this and go to the next level? And that's where John brought the sense of professionalism into it.
So John, as you were compiling the results, I know we had just under a little over 1,000 shops for the first survey. What stuck out for you? What surprised you in the information that you got back?
Well, I think two things. I think one of the things that really surprised me, Mike was pretty confident about, but I was really skeptical about just because I've participated in a lot or handled a lot of surveys in this industry. And I think the thing that struck me the most was the level of participation. I have never seen a survey in this industry that got close to 1,000 responses. And number one, it tells people, that Mike said this was important and they realized it was important. But I think also too, it's answering a need in the industry. And number three, it gives a lot higher level of credibility and reliability to the information that we found. And even with close to 1,000, we have an accuracy rate of plus or minus 4%, which is really just unheard of in this industry, and I think gives it a lot of value and credibility. We asked, for each procedure, we asked how often you get paid for it by 8 of the top insurers. And those findings varied by region, for instance. We divided the country into several regions, and some of those things varied quite a bit. For every shop that's out there that's asking for something and getting paid for it always or most of the time, there's another shop that isn't even thinking to ask for it. And so that's the sort of thing that the survey is finding.
When the survey came out and I saw a little bit of the press releases that went out, I gotta say I'm gonna put my insurance hat back on for a minute. I was doing cartwheels in my office because I was really surprised to finally hear somebody admit, kind of in a way, that DRP shops are getting paid more. And I know you mentioned in the press release that kind of also surprised you a little bit. Can you speak to that some?
We definitely found out that DRP shops were getting paid more for non-included operations than non-DRP shops. The second thing that I think also stood out was that we did see that there were some insurers that clearly reimbursed more for non-included operations and there's others that do not. And it was pretty consistent across the board. There's one insurance carrier, and I won't name their name, but they were very consistent of not paying for things across the board, and so there were definitely some trends that we spotted.
So, now that we've got the survey and the results are available and they can go to your website and get a hold of them, what value does this bring? Why would a shop want to have a copy of this? Not only this one, but the next ones that are going to be coming around. How would we use this information?
Well, it might speak to that a little bit, but one of the things that we heard from a lot of shops was just taking the survey was useful because it helped them think about some non-included operations that they hadn't even thought of or that was something that they'd forgotten about. And so it gave them an opportunity to take the survey, find out about those things or be reminded of those things, and also so they could then pass that along to their staff. We had some shops take the survey as a group within like a shop meeting to help their office staff and estimators or blueprinters remember some of these things that aren't included.
I think the biggest thing was creating awareness. We had a lot of people that emailed us back after the survey, had a comment section and said, you know what, this just brought to mind so mmany things that I wasn't even aware of that was charging, or maybe I just forgotten about it. I think also that we've seen the industry change over a period of years and the P pages change on a regular basis. I think it was a way of just helping shops to kind of stay current on what's changed and what's not changed. So I think the biggest thing was just creating awareness among the shops, and then once they're aware of it, now they start billing for it on a consistent area. Or maybe what we found was that there were some shops that were getting paid for it in a certain area and other shops that were not. But when we talked to some of those shops, or I talked to some of those shops, I found that maybe it was because they have specific estimators that handled certain accounts or something. So we're able to build, continuity with that insurance carrier. Again, some of the questions we asked were questions like, feather, prime, and block. How often do you get paid for it? Always, most of the time, some of the time, never, or never even asked. We took ours a step further because we made ours always get paid for it, most of the time, some of the time, never, but then we have a never asked. And it was very amazing to see that there were some things like gravel guard, for example. I was amazed at how many people said they never got paid for it because they never asked. How often you get paid for feather, prime, and block from these top 8 insurers? Always, most of the time, sometimes, never, never asked. But then we added a little bit in depth to this, right? In which, again, if you get the results, you get this. It says, who performs feather, prime, and block in your shop? And it clearly showed the majority of shops said that their refinish technicians were the ones that were doing the feather, priming, and blocking process. However, when we surveyed what operation are you getting this paid under body or paint, the majority of shops said they were billing for it under body, but yet their painters were doing it. So now we've got these conflicting things. We also asked things like finish, sand, and buff versus denib. Obviously there are 2 different processes. Which one do you get paid for more? So it wasn't just about getting results of saying, how often do other people get paid for these in my market area, but also who's doing these operations. So, at the end of the day, what our goal is, my goal is that we would get enough survey results, but eventually we could publish these results by state. And I just think that would be awesome. But right now, at least John and them have tabulated by region. And again, I think that's pretty incredible too.
So the next survey that's out right now for shops to take, this very moment, till the end of July, is on structural.
That's correct. It's on structural and mechanical. So what we did is we have questions there like, how often do you get paid for 0-point calibrations on a Toyota? How often do you get paid for curing time or stall cure time when you got to let adhesive set up? Are you getting paid stall cure time? Are you getting paid to set up and perform destructive test welds? Are you getting paid to test drive the vehicle before the repairs or after repairs? Are you getting paid to perform a health scan? So it's structural, aluminum, and mechanical. And that's our survey that's currently running out right now. They can go to my website, www.collisionadvice.com.
One of the things that's included both in the survey and the survey results is the definitions or an explanation of each of the procedures too, which I think might also help a shop explain it to somebody who might be less familiar with what the procedure is.
It's definitely key. Well, knowledge is power in the industry, in any industry that you work, whether it's collision repair or being a doctor or driving a truck, you gotta know what it takes to get the job done. And having access to the survey can help you in your shop. So please go visit the Collision Advice side, visit Crash Network, take the survey that's out right now on structural, mechanical, and aluminum, and add your data so that we can have a much better survey. And then hopefully, like you said, we're gonna get to where we can break it down state by state. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us on the website. We're happy to put you in touch with Mike or John. And I hope to see you next when we're reporting on the results from that one. Thanks.